50,000 words in 30 days. Yes, you can do it.
Welcome back, dear writer, or listener, or watcher. It is officially week 2 of NaNoWriMo, and I'm feeling pretty good about my progress. How are you guys feeling? Where are you at? At this point, by the time you're watching this, week 2 is already over, so let me know where you're at. I'd love to hear and celebrate, even if you only have 1,000 words, even if you only have 5 words or 1 word, any amount that you have written is worth celebration because you wrote it. It's yours. For this week, I wanted to reflect more so on the advice that has helped me in the past that has led me to this point, to where I have already written a third of my novel in the first week of NaNoWriMo. Or a third of the goal. I'm not sure it'll be a third of the book. We'll see. But one of the most helpful and best advice I think I've ever heard was told to me during my freshman English. Yes, I said that, freshman English in college. It was reading critically and writing well. That was the name of the class. And my English teacher was fantastic. I mean, she was this little older lady who did yoga. She had her iPhone. She loved her grandkids. She was just the cutest thing of all time. Anyway, she was harsh. She was a hard grader and she was tough, but I think that's part of what I liked about her. She was honest. Anyway, the advice she gave to us one day was, your rough draft is like mud. Yeah, it's gross and it's sticky and it doesn't have much shape to it. However, the mud is what you need to mold and form into a beautiful statue that will become your final draft. So yes, it might not look good. It might be utterly unlike what your final draft will be. However, it is that substance that you will use to mold into your final product. So what I take from that and how that has helped me this year with NaNoWriMo is let it out, let it be what it is. And I've seen you guys on Twitter, I've seen a lot of people say, I'm stuck, I don't like the direction that my novel's going, it's coming out like poo, I'm not gonna be able to keep any of this. And you know what, that's okay. My first novel, I didn't get to keep any of it either. And you can't expect yourself to be Anne Rice or Stephen King or anyone in the first draft of a novel. That's just, unless you are a seasoned noveling veteran and you've been doing this for years and years and years, Dean Kunitz or something, you're not going to be able to write a great first draft. It's just not going to happen. You can't expect that. And if you sit here the whole time expecting that, that's going to hold you up. That's going to hold you back because your rough draft is not meant to be good. The way that I looked at my rough draft from my 2016 novel that I wrote during NaNoWriMo is, it is an extended plot summary, an in-depth plot summary of what happened in the book. I changed a few of the details in the beginning, changed the kind of situation that got my character to the place where she was at, which ended up changing more than I thought. However, a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the ideas, a lot of the basic plot points stayed the same. So don't worry if you have to scrap most of it. That's where your planning comes in. Your planning can help you avoid having to scrap as much. But with a first draft, it's just not going to be great. So stop expecting perfection and just let it be how it is. And if you do that, you'll get to your 50,000 words, or you'll get close, or you'll get 30,000. You'll get a start. And from that start, you can finish your novel. If you really want to write the novel, let the words come out. It's better to have poo than to have constipation. I'm just saying. Okay? Alright guys, I'll talk to you later. My goal is to hit 25,000 words today, so I gotta get busy. I'm like 5,500 away from there, so we'll see if that happens. I haven't written over 5,000 yet this year, but I did in 2016, so I know it is possible. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. It is November 10th, which means it's day 10, and I didn't do an update the last 2 days, and part of that has been I've been doing a lot of thinking about the story and the direction that it's going, and I thought I would tell you guys about what's happening. So if it's happening to you as well, you can, talk about it down in the comments. Essentially, what's happening right now is things aren't lining up exactly how I thought they would, and I feel like I'm skipping things that need to be there, and I didn't even realize that they needed to be there until I skip them, and I'm like, no, I can't just write about this in the past tense. I need to talk about it a little bit while it's happening. I mean, of course, the whole book is in past tense, third person, but I can't just summarize what happened. I have to do the full scenes, which is giving me more writing material, but I'm not sure how those scenes are gonna go because they need to have some kind of purpose towards the story. And I've added one scene that I'm not, and it has a correlating scene because of it, and I'm just not sure that it makes sense on a scientifical, logical level. And so there's a part of me that just wants to erase it all, and then another part of me that says, hey, it doesn't fully have to make sense. And then another part of me that's like, well, it should be at least a little bit logical in that, why would a spaceship be built this way? When you're dealing with science fiction, even though it's fiction and even though it's not real, it has to have some kind of basis in reality. People have to see the possibility of it and have to see it as something that actually could be before they give it any kind of grounding. And if you don't get that, they're going to kind of just ignore the whole story. Even Star Wars has rules that it follows, because Star Wars is more of a sci-fi fantasy. It takes place in a completely different world that's impossible to have existed at the same time as our reality. But, it still has rules, it still has guidelines, it still makes sense overall. I, on the other hand, am not doing some distant, far-off galaxy. I'm doing Earth in the far future. Far future as in 150 years-ish. So the science has to be grounded in what we have today, and I think I just need to do more research to build some of these scenes. So that's kind of put a damper on it, but I'm officially on my vacation, so I have plenty of time to do that research and plenty of time to keep writing the other scenes, and I can go back and I can edit that during my revision. Just so long as I don't have to take out that whole thing, that would be great. I'd love this first draft of the second book to be better than my first draft in 2016 of the first book in the series, because it's a lot of work right now to fix and finish the first book. I've pretty much had to rewrite it several times to get it to where it needed to be. Now, of course, a lot of the dialogue stayed the same. A lot of the events near the end stayed the same, but it's been an entire whole rewriting process that has been quite daunting, and at first I thought it would be okay. In January of 2017, when I first started revising it, I was like, I got this. Then I read it and I was like, I want to change this whole beginning. This doesn't make sense, why it's here, it's too much. And I had originally gotten rid of everything that I wrote for the first 4 chapters or 5 chapters, maybe even 6 chapters in the first draft when I rewrote it. And I wrote 10 chapters of a second draft that just completely went against what happened in the first few chapters of my first draft. And now in my final revision that I'm working on, I've kind of combined the two, and I've used flashbacks to kind of fill in the gaps and make it make a little bit more sense. And I kept going back and forth. Do I want it first person? Do I want it third person? And I've realized that for the story that I want, I need it in third person. It's the style that I like reading the most, and it's the style that I write the best. I did do some very cool things with the first person, like specifically A Moment of Anxiety, I think happened really well, but I think I can keep it just putting it in third person. I think it'll still work, but the rest of the novel has to be in third person because first person present was not working for me. And I've also been kind of thinking, should the second book that I'm writing come before the first book? Would it make more sense that way? And then you'd be wondering the whole book, what happened before this? What happened 7 years ago? And then you get the book. Because I had originally intended to do it in alphabetical order of the sector, so Alpha, Beta, Charlie, Delta, Echo, and Fox. But would it be better to do it a little out of order? And then that gives me a whole slew of things that I could do with the rest of the books. And I'm not really sure yet how I want to go about that, but I really shouldn't even be thinking about that. I should be thinking about finishing this book. But I do want to publish, and I do want to step away from my everyday job. I mean, I like it. I like working, but I want to do something that I'm passionate about. And I don't know, maybe I am passionate about my work, but maybe I'm more passionate about my novel, or maybe I'm just in that zone of writing a novel that I only want to do that, and then once I'm done, I'm not going to want to do it as much. Because I've also seen people who are writers, kind of like in Stephen King's The Secret Window, and you have to imagine that somewhat that's based on reality, that he was struggling for a story for a little while and did do similar things. And maybe that was his is what he came up with while he was there. Maybe not. Maybe that's completely wrong. I haven't done any research to found what I've just said, so I could be completely off. But yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with that. I'm just rambling a little bit. Anyway, yesterday I didn't even get to 25,000, even though I was 100 words away. I stopped at like 6 p.m. I stopped writing, and I didn't write anymore, and I only wrote like 2,500 words. And some of you might be thinking only, but for me that was only, because I knew I could have written more. I just didn't even make the time. And I also was putting off other chores like cleaning and doing this and doing that. And yeah, I wonder if the laziness did affect my ability to write. I don't know. What about you guys? When you're writing, do you have to have your place clean in order to focus? Because for me, it can become an excuse not to work. And then I won't clean either, so I'm just doing neither. Anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. I'm, like I said, 100 words away from 25,000. I'm going to write again today, see how far I get. Hopefully, way farther than I did yesterday. Hopefully, way many more words today. And hopefully, I'm going to do a little bit of that research to find out how spaceships are actually set up. So when I create my spaceship of the far future, it at least has some kind of grounding in even hypothetical plans for spaceships and isn't just based off what I've seen in other sci-fi movies like Star Trek and stuff like that. Anyway, hope you guys are doing well with your novels. Keep going, and I'll see you on my next update. Bye!
Yeah, buddy, it's 28,000 words, and I wrote 3,000 words today.
Honestly, haven't even written that many words. You can hear my boyfriend gaming down below. That's just the life I live. But I've been feeling pretty good. I worked out some of the issues that I was dealing with this morning. You saw me talking about earlier in the video. It's coming together a little bit better. I may or may not keep those scenes I was talking about earlier when I come to the revision stage. We'll see. But I've kind of changed things around from how I had originally wrote it. So what ended up happening is I wrote a few paragraphs and I was like, whoa, this isn't working. So I skipped and I went back in time and I filled in some blanks. And then I went back into those paragraphs and I actually expanded them. So what was a paragraph I turned into a scene or a couple of scenes, and I used those paragraphs that I hated and turned them into scenes that I actually really like. So that's definitely something to try if you're having an issue with something that you wrote. It's not really coming together, it doesn't make much sense, it's not really doing what you wanted to do. Try breaking it down even further. Try breaking it into further scenes, or jump around in the timeline. Anyway, I'm at 28,000 words on day 11, feeling pretty good, and I will talk to you guys later. 28,000. So let me just start by saying that I validate my words every time I check my word count, just because I don't want to come up on the 30th day and be short words for the 50,000, though at this rate that I'm going, I'm pretty sure I'll hit 50,000 before then. However, you're seeing right. That is 30,000, yeah, 30,571 words that I have written. Yeah, it feels pretty freaking good, and I've just had a little bit of a breakthrough with the story. There is a scene that has come up that I was not expecting. Neither was my kitty, apparently. She says, "Man, that is a crazy scene." And this character that's kind of interjected herself into the story, she's turning out to be more and more valuable, and people that I thought were going to have value are just really there to add a little bit to the dialogue, I guess. I'm trying to see where some of these characters fit in, but I'm really liking how everything is developing right now, and things are getting intense. My blood is pumping thinking about what's happening right now, and I'm probably only about halfway through the story, and it's getting really excited. Obviously, I'm talking fast and I'm talking loud, but with that, I'm gonna leave you and I'm gonna get back to writing. Keep going, guys. When you get excited about something that's happening in your story, you just gotta keep going. Just keep going. And with that, I will leave you. Bye. Hi guys, it is day 14 and I'm at 36,000 words. Yep, I've written about 2,000 words today, and actually that only really happened in the last 2 hours. Pretty much I spent the entire day reading a book called The Running Man by Stephen King. I was kind of reading it to gauge my own writing and if it was decent, by comparing myself to an author like Stephen King, who I really look up to and is an American hero, really, of writing. He has written over 50 books, probably more at this point, and there's a reason why he's so popular, and it's his writing style is so simple, and yet he can still create book after book after book, and you still want to read page after page after page. And it's not about the way that the words sound, it's about the story itself, and that's really what I want to be able to create, is something that people want to read and people want to turn the pages on and keep going forward, and they want to find out what's going to happen next. And that's what I want from my book. I want people to read it and I want them to want to know what's going to happen next. But anyway, this is just a brief update. I'm about to call a friend. Maybe I'll write some more. Maybe I'll talk to you guys again later. But until then, keep writing, keep going. And if not, I hope you're enjoying my little updates. Bye.